everybody. Good evening, shooters, judges, and fans. We have hit the halfway mark of the competition. Congratulations to our shooters who have made it this far and for bringing their creativity every week. From this moment on, we are critiquing all of the competitors' images every week. And you may have noticed that this week we are down to 6 competitors instead of 7. We want to wish Bless Jay success and joy as he focuses on building his craft. That being said, tonight we will still be eliminating our lowest scoring competitor for week 6 Uncommon Common. Thank you to our awesome judges, Leroy of Leroy Schultz Photography, Darlene Hildebrandt of Digital Photo Mentor, Tammy Darren of the Photographer Studio, and from Hobbs Photography, Amy and Jenna Hobbs. Thank you for donating your time and expertise every week to the shooting range. It's so appreciated. The creative team and challengers are so grateful for your presence every week. Our guest judge for week 6 is no stranger to hitting target after target in the dead of winter while racing against the clock. After 15 years on the National Biathlon team and competing in the Olympics 3 times, this judge hails from right here in Alberta. Since retiring from sport and turning her personal experience with injuries and rehabilitation into a career as a registered massage therapist. Shortly after becoming a mom herself, she discovered a love for supporting other women during pregnancy and childbirth and added DONA trained doula to her resume. Please welcome Zena Lawson. Thank you, Zena, for helping us out this week as our shooters produce images for Uncommon Common. George Washington Carver said, when you do common things in life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. This week, our challengers were asked to photograph something common in an uncommon way, whether they captured something in real life that they happened upon or conceptualized the idea from scratch. These competitors brought their creativity this week. So let's get started. This is a slide of all of the images this week. And you can move on to slide number 2. So this image was done by Shalene, and it is titled, What a Party. Now, Shalene, this isn't your official question, but I'm going to ask it because everybody is wondering. Photoshop or real lips, real toilet? We all want to know.
Not Photoshop at all. It is a real lip print, really on the bowl, but I didn't actually. The perk of my daughter, the makeup artist, is with a ton of awesome makeup products. Some of them transfer and some of them don't.
Okay.
So if you kiss a piece of wax paper and transfer it onto a very dried bowl after you've drained the water out of it, and slowly refill the water, lipstick print is in the bowl, legit, and does not wash off.
Super clever. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering, I was like, is that real?
It is real. It is
somebody put their lips
real,
on there.
Yeah, a real pair of lips and real lipstick. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so your image turned 2 very common things into one very uncommon scene. One of the things that the judges look for is an emotional reaction. The title of your image implies that there was some sort of wild party. Did you consider grunging up the toilet and smudging the lipstick? Or did you feel that keeping it really simple and clean would have more impact? And what reaction were you hoping for?
I really felt, I did try it both ways. I wanted to see, I did one shot originally where like the lipstick was streaming down the bowl kind of thing. And it kind of lost that, it lost the zest of that shocking image of bright lipstick against white. And so the cleaner it looked and the more glowing it looked, it felt like it just had a little bit more zing. And what I was going for was exactly what you asked, is like, how the hell did that get in there like that? Especially when the water is there. It's like, you've got to imagine that someone's shin had to be under the water if that really happened. So it was more like a shock value, like, how on earth does that happen?
Right. Well, you got me on that one. Okay, so Darlene, you were one of the first judges to ask the shooters to provide a title each week to help give their image an added layer of context. How effective do you think "What a Party" was at providing additional context for this image?
Honestly, I didn't think that it fit very well in terms of I was thinking more in terms of like the lipstick on a collar, or fading out if it's gone in the laundry. Like that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, okay, even if it was a great party, why is their face in the toilet? Unless they're puking or something. But then again, that's not that uncommon, right? So I was a little bit confused by it in terms of how it fit the brief. I didn't feel it fit as well as some of the other images. And in general, I just sort of found the image itself sort of not memorable. Like I just, there was nothing that stood out to me other than that question of, okay, how did the lipstick get there?
Okay, thank you.
And that's the cleanest toilet I've ever seen.
Zena, what was your emotional response to this image? And if the toilet had been grungier, how would you have changed the way, how would it have changed the way you felt about the image?
Well, it gave me a really good laugh. I thought it was pretty funny seeing the bright lipstick somehow implanted onto the bowl, for sure. I guess I like the color contrast. I think if it was really dirty, it would have given you a less cleaner of a thought process of like, this would be pretty disgusting to look at. Whereas you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, the colors kind of stand out. And you have that black and white kind of shot with the bright lipstick. Yeah. But yeah, I see where Darlene was coming from with the thought process of with the briefing.
Okay, thank you. I think for myself, I saw when it "kiss the bowl" has always been a term around the people that I know that, would happen if you were throwing up all the time. It'd be like, oh, you were kissing the toilet, were you? So,
Can I point something out? Everyone's talking about how clean that bowl is, but one thing that stood out to me is that if you look in the shadow area, it's not that clean. So it brings out even more of a visceral reaction. Like if you zoom into that area, there's residue. It's not just clean porcelain.
I think it's very indicative of people who might party really hard. And I don't know about you, but I've seen those videos on YouTube of people kissing toilets, or it's a challenge or something like that on TikTok. It's all these young people. I don't know what's going on nowadays. Let's move on to slide number 3, Hope. Okay, this image is from Karen, and it's called "What Got into the Hen House?" Karen, yourself and another challenger photographed food items using light boxes this week. But it's uncommon to use a light box when photographing food. Light boxes are wonderful tools for having complete control over the light, but the downside is that it can make other minor flaws more visible. What made you decide to use a light box this week?
I used a light box to avoid any unwanted shadows and to really direct the focus into the food and into, obviously, the frog in the food, which is a little bit smaller because the egg is small. And I wanted to really focus on that and not have a lot of other distractions.
Okay, thank you. Leroy, do you think the use of a light box was effective for Karen's image, and why or why not?
I'm a fan of light boxes in general, and I think it's come up a few times over the course of the competition how, simplicity lends itself well to strength. I think with this shot, it's a little overexposed, and that's one of the challenges of using a light box is that there's light bouncing everywhere. I feel like this could have been done differently while maintaining that simplicity, even with like some colored seamless paper or a sheet or something like that. I find the exposure is a little distracting from what otherwise would be, I think, a very good submission. So I would have liked to see what this same concept would have looked like without using a light box.
Okay, thank you. Hobbs, what tips would you have given Karen if you had been able to be there to mentor her during this shoot?
I'll just turn my volume. Can you hear me all right? My volume's pretty low.
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. For me, I mean, I agree with Leroy that it's slightly overexposed, but for me, it's the angle of this is really killing it for me. I like the idea and that it's quirky, and I do appreciate seeing that this week more than any other that feedback from previous weeks is really, I can see people working hard to incorporate that in that it's simplistic. I was thrilled that there was nothing super literal, but for me, I would like to see the angle. And while I appreciate the use of the light box for eliminating unwanted shadows, I do think it would have benefited with a little bit more context with a table visible, and etc. For me, the fork and the spoon are really what's sucking me in, and it takes my eyes a minute to go to the frog. And then from the logistical perspective, if you cook it, the frog should be dead.
So just turning them upside down maybe then.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Slide number 4. This image is done by Corey Lynn and called Multi-Fruit. Corey Lynn, did you have any challenges in putting your image together this week for Uncommon Common? And do you feel that the use of the light box was what you needed for this challenge?
I struggled this week, just trying to focus on one thing. I couldn't seem to get my brain to narrow down to anything. So I tried a few different things. I kept coming back to these fruit images that I kind of had in my head. So for me, again, the simplicity of just showcasing the fruit was important for me. And I've been trying to challenge myself using some different things that I don't normally shoot. So a light box is not something that I use often, ever. And I felt like it lent itself well to making the colors pop, and that's where I went.
Thank you. Tammy, given that a light box can highlight both the things that you want to see and the things that you don't, how effective do you think Corey Lynn's choice of a light box was with this image this week?
I don't think it's terrible. It's lighting everything pretty evenly, which is good. The colors are popping really nice. The only thing, has nothing to do with the light box, I don't think, but the only thing that I found very distracting was the ginormous knife. I think a small paring knife might have been more effective. But yeah, no, it's even lighting. It's not overexposed, but it is grainy. Like if you zoom in, it's quite grainy. So, but yeah.
All right, thank you. Darlene, perspective in photography is defined as the sense of depth or spatial relationship between objects in a photo, along with their dimensions with respect to what the viewer of the image sees. How well did Corey Lynn deliver on their perspective of this image?
Well, to go with Tammy's ginormous term there, the knife, I hadn't even considered that, but yeah, it is rather big. But perspective wise, when you get rid of all shadows, you eliminate perspective. So it's kind of like they're all floating in this white nothingness. I personally would have chosen not to use the light box. Like I almost would have liked to see them on a dark, black plexi or something, and pump a white reflector into the knife to pick up the edge of the knife, because there's no shadows on this fruit. There's no dimensions, there's no shape, and they're all sort of facing the same direction, which also goes back to your question about perspective. When you're doing food, like you need to pick the most perfect everything, and you need to make sure that there's no blemishes, but how they're all turned could have been better in terms of providing more shape to the fact that, okay, this is a banana. It took me a minute to figure out what was going on because of that. And then I finally saw that the one that has the banana isn't actually like the end of the banana. So had that been turned more to see the stem, that would have helped as well.
Okay.
I shot it like a million different angles, and I moved the banana around a lot. So this was the one that made the most sense to me, but that's great feedback.
Did you put the fruit in with Photoshop, or you actually like put the fruits?
Oh no, I actually put the fruit in the banana. And bananas brown really fast, no matter how much lemon juice you put on them.
Yep.
So I had to slice often to get fresh looking banana slices.
So you're all potassiumed up.
I am. And my dog is very happy because he loves bananas.
Had a nice fruit salad that day, did you?
Really did. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, number 5. This image is done by Angela, and it's called Cool Storage. Angela, some of the judges loved this image in black and white, while others were left wanting to see it in color. Can you tell us what made you choose this image to be done in black and white over its color version?
Well, I was struggling between the colors happening in my kitchen, and I had to actually, it was a little bit of a long exposure just because I was trying to light the shoes. So I was using a flashlight, and I had too many different tones of light, and so that's why I ended up going with black and white.
Were you competing with your fluorescent lights right above you there?
Actually, no, I had the lights off in my kitchen, but I was competing with the lights that were actually in the fridge, which were putting off like quite a yellow color, which I did not like, and I didn't have the option to replace those.
Did you think of just pushing the light button and maybe taping it down?
Like in the refrigerator?
Yeah.
No, I didn't even think of that.
Okay. That one just came to my head, but I was wondering, like, because it turns off when you close the doors, right? So
never even thought about that. And, well, I did want some light in the back because I liked the little starbursts. And you know what? After hours of cleaning out the fridge and digging out clothes and stocking the fridge, my brain was kind of mush.
And also almost losing your images this week too, right?
And oh my God, that too. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Okay, so Hobbs, do you think that the concept or idea Angela was trying to portray with this image was unique or inspiring?
Yeah, we really liked this image. We liked that it was, two common things: a closet, articles of clothing, and a fridge, something that we all use and see every day, and amalgamating them together. Amy and I were somebody who wanted to see it in color. We thought that, like the drawer that's sort of by itself, not the bottom two, it's just dark. You can't really see what's in there. Some of the piled up clothes, there just needs to be a little bit more either light. And now it makes sense that you say you were struggling with the light, because kitchen light, don't we all love it? It's never fun to take photos in your kitchen. So I get that and understand why you weren't doing the color there, but maybe just, you know, changing your blacks and whites, or even arranging the clothes differently so things didn't get lost. But the concept we really liked.
Thank you. Zena, do you think this image is clever? And if the title had not been Cool Storage, would you still have been able to make out the meaning that Angela was hoping that we would get?
Yeah, I like the concept. I thought it was clever. But yeah, I guess I think you'd be able to figure it out with like Cool Storage. I think that's it's pretty simple when you think about it. So yeah, I think it might have taken me a second. Okay, why are we looking at a fridge with clothes? But I think that it would be like, yeah, I get it. Cool Storage. I think the title, it's simple, but it fits.
It enhances it a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll move on to slide number 6, please. This is Danielle's picnic in the park. Danielle's not with us tonight, is she? Sorry, I can't see everybody.
No, she's not.
Okay, so we will not ask her question. Leroy, one of the most common places for distraction in digital photography is the background, and even in the foreground of photographs. Is this an important aspect for a photographer to be mindful about? And do you think Danielle did well in grabbing your attention with the subject rather than the background or foreground elements?
That's one of the things that I found distracting about this image is the fact that, you know, you can look behind there and it looks to be, you know, a school or a church or something. It makes the image very busy, and it would have been fairly simple to use a different f-stop to keep that visual focus right on the subjects and the balloons and what's happening in the foreground, rather than having that compete with what's happening in the background. So I think that's one of the things that for me on this image needed to be addressed.
Thank you. Tammy, how did the crop of this image affect the overall feel of the photograph?
The crop, unfortunately for me, was the first thing I noticed when I looked at this photo, and the feet are cut off, as you can see, so the photo is not complete. So had the photographer come down a little lower too to get rid of some of that distracting stuff in the background, even just focusing on the couple and including the feet, it would have been better. But it is also tilting quite a bit to the right. It would have been nice if they would have straightened the image out a bit as well.
Okay, thank you. Slide number 7, please. This image is done by Rain. Oh, where did it go? Yes, sorry. Is done by Rain, and it's called Celebration of Me. Rain, what exactly were you trying to say with your image this week?
Yeah, I think it was celebration of life, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have it different in front of me.
Yeah, for me, like what the image was trying to say, is that what you said?
Yes. What were you trying to say with your image this week?
Yeah, with it, I just wanted to like capture the celebration side of somebody's life, because in my own life, I know that there's been like a lot of focus on a lot of the negatives or the loss of people, and not as focused on the celebrating the bits that can be celebrated. And experiencing a lot of loss in my own life, it's kind of like an uncommon practice that I have in my own life to be very colorful in those scenarios. When respectful, I always make sure it's okay, but and just, yeah, when common uncommon came up, I thought that could be a really cool opportunity to show that in a picture.
Thank you. Zena, how well do you think Rain did to achieve the verbiage for this image?
Sorry, I was just muted there.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, I understand where she was coming from. I have been to both types of funerals, and I think it comes across well when you have with the color contrast, where you have it's quite dark in the back, the chairs are dark, but then she has the bright balloons and the bright the jacket that she's wearing. Yeah, so I liked the idea of where she was coming with this photo.
Thank you. Darlene, leading lines can make for a really strong, effective photograph. Were the lines used efficiently? And is there another way that they could have been used that could have been more effective?
Yeah, I think kind of a little bit of both. I think there is some element of you're looking down this aisleway, and then the balloons sort of coming down, and she's looking up to them. So there's that interplay between her and the balloons. But I would have liked to see it cropped a little bit tighter, or honestly, just get rid of everything and go super simple with like the table, the girl, and the balloons and the black background. Because I find there's a lot of stuff going on here, and that white stage really draws my eye more than anything in this picture. But I would focus on the lines of the balloons to her, right? Because not only are like actual physical lines that are in the image, there's also sort of suggested lines, like I'm talking about the eyesight, right? So the direction that somebody is facing, and even just small things like the picture that's on the table, right? Turning that towards her and having her facing the other way towards the picture, and then having that interplay between her, the picture, and the balloons, more of a triangular sort of, so your eye follows and flows, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. So that is it for our critiques this week. I want to thank the shooters for your images. We definitely see how you've incorporated some of the judges' suggestions from previous weeks, and you really all do deserve a round of applause. So tonight, we are going to veer away from top three, bottom three, and we are just going to make you sweat while we announce the sharpshooter of this week and then who will go home. I will also let you all know what your standings were for tonight as well. So, without further ado, our sharpshooter for week number 6 for uncommon common is, I hope you can bring up the next one, is Angela with her image Cool Storage. Congratulations. The judges thought you were clever without going over the top. As our winner this week, Angela.
You win.
Yeah, you win. As the winner this week, you will receive a 1-hour deep tissue massage from TAD Therapeutic Massage. So make sure that you make that appointment quick so that you can get rid of all of that stress before we go into the second half of the shooting range.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You did such a great job this week. And we're going to give more information about TAD Therapeutic on Friday when we do our vendor shout out. So you are very welcome. And now we're going to move on to the very not so fun part of the night, where we must say goodbye to one of you. You must empty your roll, pack up your gear, and leave the shooting range. The person going home tonight is Danielle. We hope that you enjoyed your time with us, and that we wish you the best of luck as you work your way through Alberta University of Arts. Keep shooting and be sure to keep in touch. The admin team is always willing to help guide new photographers as they learn this awesome craft. So great job, challengers. And because I know that you're dying, the rest of you are dying to know what place you placed in. So second place was Rain. Third place was Shalene. Fourth place, Corey Lynn. Fifth place, Karen. You ladies are all safe this week, and we will see you next week for perspectives. So great job, challengers. And because I know that you're dying, the rest of you are dying to know what place you placed in. So second place was Rain. Third place was Shalene. Fourth place, Corey Lynn. Fifth place, Karen. You ladies are all safe this week, and we will see you next week for perspectives. Tonight, judges, I'm going to ask you all one question, and you may all chime in if you wish to. Just raise your hand if you want to speak. So sometimes it takes a subtle touch to get your message across in an image. You need to give enough visual cues that people get it, but not so many that you're filling in the blanks. In previous weeks, challengers have often erred on the side of including too much information, and this week, many of the images were very pared down. As photographers, how do you know when you're overcomplicating things as opposed to oversimplifying them? Oh, I can't see everybody, so. Oh, Darlene? Oh, there we go. Thank you, Hope.
Sure, I'll go, because one of my mantras is simplify, simplify, simplify. And I said KISS last week, right? Can keep it simple, stupid. So you guys listened, yay. I found that the pared down versions and the simplicity this week of most of the entries was actually refreshing, because you don't have to hit us in the face with a message. And we said it before that, you know, if you have to explain it or put words on it or make a 20-word title to explain the message, then the image fails, right? So, I mean, like, even though Angela's image is got a lot of stuff going on, I wanted to comment on this earlier, the whole seeing something that's common as uncommon. For me, the the black and white added to that, because we don't see in black and white, excuse me. We don't see in black and white, and a lot of people don't use black and white anymore. So it is more uncommon. And I think that actually helped for me to elevate that entry. And I wasn't so concerned about seeing details of every single item in the fridge. I just really liked the concept. It was like, as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's clever. I get it.
Awesome. Thank you. Leroy.
So I don't think there's an easy answer to that question. And it comes down to, you know, photography is so subjective that there is no right or wrong. You know, would have been interesting to see Angela's photo in color? Yes. I also really like the black and white version. I think it worked. Someone else may disagree with me, and you know, it's not an objective thing. But I agree with Darlene that less is more. And when it comes down to a decision of, you know, is there too much or too little? I would say the safe bet is always go with less than more. And you know, and that's not just in photography. I think that's sort of part and parcel of writing too. It's like you know, you want to have a respect for a reader in writing, and you want to have a respect for a viewer in photography. So you don't need to bash the viewer over the head. So that's the kind of my go-to to a question like this one.
Thank you, Leroy. Any other judges want to weigh in today?
Sure. I agree. I enjoyed seeing the simplicity this week and how the competitors have progressed and understood, like, it doesn't have to be so literal. It can be a little more subtle. The simplicity has the message right there, and that's all you need to get it. As a storytelling photographer, I like, you know, adding in the small details, like, for example, the toilet with the kiss in it. Simple, effective. It made you think, like, how the hell did that get there, right? But automatically, I think, what if, you know, they sort of drew back a little and there was a pair of women's underwear on the ground, or it would add to, you know, her title of being a party, right? We wouldn't have, you know, in past weeks where we're writing words on things, but just the subtle details can add to a photo, and rather there just be one message, but it can tell a story. there's that fine line though in going overboard and being too busy and too much. So when in doubt, simple is better. However, don't forget the details.
Perfect. Thank you. Judges, we have some time. Do you guys have anything that you want to add? If you hadn't, or if you have a comment that you wanted to add to any of the images, you can feel free to do that right now.
Well, I'm with Jenna. I was super stoked. This was the first week. I felt like we really saw a leap in progress, and it was really exciting to see. I'm totally with Jenna from a storytelling perspective. I appreciate the simplicity, and I think you're all on the right track with that. But then to think how instead of adding in literal words or literal, here's what I want you to think, how can I add in really subtle details that can add to the story I'm trying to tell, can be really effective to elevate your work to another level. I was also excited to see like Rain's image working on some more complex composition with some layering, because that is a really challenging thing to start adding in, as opposed to just cropping in really tight, which is simple and beautiful, but working, starting to add in layering. When you look at some of the really great documentary photographers, there is such complex layering, and every time I study documentary work, I think, how the hell will I ever be able to pull any of this off? So it was exciting to see the simplicity, really incorporating the technique. Like with Corey Lynn's image, I loved seeing the detail, and that's the meaningful detail with like the drips of the pooling of the fruit juice. That to me, I just really appreciated seeing that effort, as opposed to that let me know that you actually put that effing strawberry in the banana as opposed to just photoshopping it. So I really appreciated seeing that, and I'm excited to see what you all do next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in and kind of echo what some of the other judges have mentioned. That I think two things stood out for me this week that are both reflective of feedback we've given as judges. One was, make things simple. I think we saw that sort of a clipboard. And secondly, attention to detail was really evident. Like when you zoom into Angela's photo, the trays are labeled, and if I remember correctly, they're labeled both in English and French. Like that's, if you want to talk about detail, that's a level of effort that I think needs to be applauded. I think Rain's image really stood out to me because it had so many levels of the duality of life, right? With somber funeral setting versus, the lightheartedness of balloons, the play of black and white versus color. They had so many levels there, but it still was a simple image that also had depth to it. So I think all of the contestants should be applauded for taking the feedback we've given in the past and making it evident that that was kept in mind this week.
Awesome, thank you. Does anybody? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, darling.
Yeah, just thinking as Leroy was talking about the one image that I actually put in my comments was that it could be simplified more, was the one with the egg and the frog. And that was because the actual frog is so tiny in the frame, and somebody else mentioned, the silverware and the cutlery is taking your attention. Like, honestly, if you got rid of all of that and you just had the egg in an egg cup with the top of the egg off and the frog, that's all you need. Like, just literally the egg, and don't have all that other stuff, right? So that one is a case where coming way closer would have done it. I didn't even think about him being cooked, Amy. Like, I didn't think that until you said that. So, Angela, I want to know if you did that shot in one shot, or if you did the ambient and then the flashlight one and merged them, or like, how did you put it together?
It was actually a series of, I'm trying to think of how many I combined. I think through, I mean, I took several, but because like I took one where I lit the fridge, like the shoes on the fridge door, and then one that was a longer exposure with the like a higher aperture with the lights on the back of the fridge. So it was a combination of, I think, 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, in terms of if you wanted to get the color right, if you color balance for the fridge and do that shot, or even if you don't, do it in Photoshop, like color balance it in Lightroom, and then take your flashlight shot and like have them all as layers, right? And then when you like, do you ever do light painting and you blend the layers together, literally just change the blend mode? Yeah. But if you color balance them in Lightroom first, each individual shot, and not combine the lighting in one shot, if you get then you could probably get the color to match better.
No, for sure.
But you have to use the same aperture.
No, for sure. And I was literally, I spent many hours on Saturday between cleaning out my fridge and doing all this stuff. And then on Sunday, when I went to look at the images, none of them were on my memory card. So I panicked.
Oh, no.
And I was freaking out because I thought, oh my God, I got to start all over again. And then that's when Billy said, check, because I was doing well, at least I've never done before. I did the live shooting with my remote shooting. And I did not know this, and none of, like, the images were all gone, and I was crushed. So then literally, I think I rushed when I found all the photos to edit them on Sunday, and I just wanted to get them submitted. Not that it's an excuse, but yeah, it was panic mode. And now I know that if I do remote shooting, the images for some bizarre reason don't end up on the card.
Depends on the camera. I think you can, it's a setting that you can choose.
It must be. I've never done it before, and I just thought, oh, well, I'll just shoot and have my laptop there and see what I'm doing, and lesson learned.
Always a dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially last minute.
Angela's got a clean fridge. Shalene's got a clean toilet. Corey Lynn's had lots of fruit, so she's got, well, we won't talk about what she's got that's clean.
I kind of wanted to go to Karen's house for lunch, actually, after I saw her picture.
And which one of you is coming to my house to help me out cleaning it up? No, nobody's. All right.
I have a question.
Sure, Rain.
So I've been reading photography terms because most of what you guys say goes over my head during the week, and I have to go look it up. When you talk about layering, because sometimes layering is like in theme, but sometimes it literally means images over images. When you guys mention it, what are you talking about? Like, it was clear what with you, Darlene, just then with layering images, but I know, Amy, you mentioned layering, and I was just curious. You guys had an answer to that.
When I talk about layering, I am like a Photoshop cripple. Everything that I do, I try to do not in Photoshop because I suck at it so badly. So when I'm talking about layers in your image, I'm talking about utilizing your foreground, midground, background of your image to just create some visual complexity. Clear as mud?
I think so. Yeah.
Rain, I have an article on my website. I know you've been to the site. So if you just search for photography terms, there's actually a video that I did where I actually went through a lot of these terms and just defined them.
I think I did watch that one as well. I think maybe I've just got too much input, and I think like
There is a lot of terms when it comes to photography. And even now, some days, even after 12 years, I'm just like, I have no idea what
she froze.
Other things.
I think that was Karma froze her just as she was about to get foul-mouthed on us.
Dang it. It's all right. Moment's gone.
Zoom beeped you.
Zena, I wanted to ask you a question. What did you think about being asked to be a judge for us?
It was a bit of a challenge. I'm not a photographer. So
That's okay. Most of our guest judges aren't.
So yeah, it was a challenge for me to have to instead of being a competitor, to be a judge and to be critiquing other people and to be looking at art and to, have some criticism for it.
Well, we hope you enjoyed yourself this week.
I did. Thank you. Thanks for the offer to do it.
Well, when we were putting out feelers for guest judges, we picked like some people that were like, well, we might as well send it to them, but I don't think they're going to get back to us. So you were one of those people that we were like, that we didn't think were going to get back to us. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I just want to thank everybody so much for being here tonight, and to the fans for tuning into our recordings and making, we just want to make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can get updates from us and watch all the videos. Other than that, we're earlier tonight than we have in the past, and I think that will be a normal occurrence as we go forward. But it was nice to get the little extra insights at the end, and we love having you guys here. So if once everybody leaves, you can go. We like you, but it's time to go home. The 4 panel judges, if you want to stick around for a few minutes afterwards, then you're more than welcome to. But everything else, I want you all to have a good night, and we can't wait to see what you guys produce next week. Bye. Thanks for being with us, Zena.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Congratulations, shooters, and welcome to week 7. My name is John Gatsby, and I'm a behavioral interventionist. I work with people who are feeling stuck, people who aren't sure what to do or what the next step is. And everybody feels stuck at some point. We get frustrated, we give up, we listen to that negative voice in the back of our head. But I believe in people and the power of our creative imagination. When we ask the right questions, we can shift our perspective. We can learn to have as much empathy for ourselves as we do the people we look after. When we ask the right questions and tap into our creative resources, we become curious, and curiosity is the key to turning problems into puzzles. And every puzzle has a solution. For almost a year now, every aspect of our lives has been impacted by a global pandemic. Lockdowns and social distancing have caused a spike in the number of both professionally diagnosed and self-reported cases of depression and anxiety. But despite this, there's also been a lot to be inspired by. We've shown a lot of creativity. Unable to travel, to dine out, gather together with family, we've explored our community in new ways, connecting in new ways through Zoom or text or just calling people. We've explored interesting creative hobbies like learning how to bake sourdough and organized birthday parades for people who couldn't otherwise get together. We were able to act instead of react once we pivoted our focus away from the things we had no control over to the things we did. The situation hasn't changed, but how we've chosen to look at it has. This week, whether you prefer to shoot something tangible, like an object or location, or you wish to capture the essence of an experience or emotion, your challenge is to help us get curious again about the commonplace, to show us something that we've seen before, but in a way we've never seen it. Your submissions are due by 7 p.m. on Sunday, February 21st, 2021. Happy shooting.